I mentioned the top of the Eastern Conference, and there was a matchup. There was a big boy matchup that took place involving one of those teams and two big boys in terms of KARL-ANTHONY Towns and Joel Embiid. And the one thing that I find super funny was KARL-ANTHONY Towns the day before was asked about his matchup with Joel Embiid, and he said, I'm focused, I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, I'm focused on getting the W. I know you guys are trying to start something and sell papers, but I'm not in the business of selling papers. I'm in the business of getting W's. And then what happened when these two actually met up on the court, Webby?
Well, I like, here's the other thing, too. I want to take you even further back to before the game.
Okay.
I want to take you back to Joel Embiid's interview with Rachel Nichols. I don't know if you saw this like a couple of weeks before the season started, but Joel Embiid basically said that his days as a trash talker are done and that he's all about winning. And you know how many people, if you believe that, I've got some beachfront property I'd love to sell you, all right? Because the shit talking last night and the I didn't know that I know about Embiid's past with Andre Drummond and honestly most of the big men in the Eastern Conference. This Cat Embiid thing, it seems to be born out of Jimmy Butler coming to the Sixers last year and the connection that he made with Embiid when he was in Philly, and I guess hearing some stories about what happened in terms of Instagram models and girlfriends. But listen, there was some bad blood on the court in Philadelphia last night. And you know who loves when shit gets rough like that in a game, whether it be hockey, football, or basketball, or baseball? You know who loves that?
I'm not sure who.
The fans in Philadelphia. And
so here's my question, right? Because Joel Embiid, I mean, we've talked about Joel Embiid before, and I might not be Joel Embiid's biggest fan. I think this is like straight studio gangster stuff, which is Joel Embiid. Just, he's for the show, right? He's here for the show.
He'll throw him, though. He'll throw him.
Here's the thing, though, right? In terms of basketball fights in the year 2019, that was pretty high up there. But in terms
100%.
of like actual fights, that was pretty lame, right? Like it was a go, right? In the context of where we are now in the NBA, cool. But beyond that, whatever.
No.
Like Towns got him in a headlock. Maybe Embiid gouged him in the eye. They're rolling around, and then your man's Ben Simmons
with a triangle choke.
He's giving out submission holds.
Yo, he's been watching his UFC, bro. Did you see all the UFC people on Twitter today? They were like, hey, Simmons, that's good form, brother. That's good form.
It was just so ridiculous, though, to watch. And the thing that gets me with Embiid, and this is off, obviously, watching Embiid just, hype up the crowd, play it to the crowd and all that. But as soon as he gets up and he starts, like, hyping up the crowd and shadow boxing and all that, I'm like, this guy's lame, man. This guy's so lame.
No, he's the best, man. Dude, he is. The way that I put it today to my buddies at work was that Joel Embiid is like if you took Bill Laimbeer and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
What are you talking about?
Okay,
Come on, man.
So he talks that shit. And he gets in people's heads, and he's the player that everybody loves to hate. But unlike Laimbeer, he can back it up on the court by putting up 20 and 10 every night without breaking a sweat. So not only, like, you can talk about backing it up. Like, listen, this isn't boxing. It's not UFC. Like, nobody's going to call on Joel Embiid to throw knucks every game. But you do want him to show up and play basketball at a high level every game, and he does. So you can talk that talk, but you got to back it up with your play on the court, and he does it. And you can't listen. Everybody, listen. Toronto fans, Timberwolves fans, basically every other fan except Philly fans are saying that this guy's a clown, whatever. But here, the thing is that this guy's an MVP candidate this year, and it's going to make people so mad if he gets it. I love it. I absolutely. I'm trying to get this term out of my lexicon, out of my vocabulary, because it's driving me nuts on social media. But with Joel Embiid, you really love to see it. You love to see it.
Listen, okay, so two guys that have been talking trash with each other, cool. I'm okay with them getting in the little tussle, whatever, the intensity, cool. I'm here for that. The gimmicks that came afterwards, though, that's what I'm not here for, right? Like the shadow boxing, all that. But yeah, I will say this, it was hilarious. And the way that everything trickled out in terms of, like, I totally missed Towns' mom's leaning over and giving Embiid the finger on the way out. I totally missed that until like 3 hours later on social media. And you just add so many levels, and you're right, the post game where Embiid starts the presser by saying, first of all, I ain't no bitch, and then laughs, and I'm like, that's a bitch move.
No,
right?
no,
like,
because
I know he's being funny and he's referencing something else, right?
Yeah, he's referencing Mike Scott, who was the real MVP of that whole fight last night. If you watch Mike Scott's reactions to watching the replay on the big screen and the way that he greeted, I love Mike Scott. First of all,
it is so awesome. Good. I will say that the Mike Scott reactions, because he's laughing at Embiid, and this is what I'm saying, right? Like, when there was an actual fight, you're not laughing, and that's what makes this so ridiculous to me, because Embiid's like quoting the Broad Street bullies and shit as if like he really got in a fight. And it's like, dude, relax. But
for Philly fans, I know that's all they need to see. For Philly fans, that's all they need to see, man.
You're right. You are right about that. You are right about that. But it did take a weird, ridiculous turn once it headed to social media afterwards, okay?
Yeah.
And so let's try to go through a bit of this here. Joel Embiid, after the presser, after everything, he goes to Twitter and he says, great team win. I was raised around lions.
Which is a great line. First of all, that's a great line.
I was raised around lions, and a cat pulled on me tonight. Laughed my ass off. Got his mama giving middle fingers left and right. That's some serious real estate. Hashtag fight night. Hashtag I ain't no bitch. Here's the thing. Good line, cool. You can't troll the moms. The moms control you because she's going to be defensive of her watching her son just get in a fight. Moms are off limits if you're Joel Embiid. You cannot comment on the man's moms. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, probably, unless your mom is like JaVale McGee and open mouth kissing Julius Erving.
Yo, stop. Fair enough.
So 100%.
So Towns then goes to social media, and it turns into a back and forth where Towns is, doing the I ain't no bitch, raised around lions, and just put caps and clowns.
So okay,
and hashtag bitch talk.
Can you step into white guy corner real quick? Old white guy corner too.
Okay.
The cap. Because I thought it was
like he's lying. Like you're lying. Like no cap means like no cap is like slang for being like I'm telling the truth. Like you're emphasizing your point. When you're saying no cap, it's like I'm not gassing, I'm telling the truth.
I thought it was like caping. Like, like I'm not caping for you. I'm not like okay, so no cap. I got it.
No cap is like for real. You know what I mean? It's like for real, no lie. Like you're emphasizing your point. So when Towns is saying, when he's mocking Embiid, who's saying, I ain't no bitch, and then he's putting a bunch of caps, he's saying he's lying. No cap would be like, you're gassing him, saying like, oh no lie, you are not a bitch. But he's saying, cap, you are a bitch. Okay, cap, you are a bitch. Let me write this down. Cap, you are a bitch. Cap,
all right, got it.
No lie, for real. Like that's what no cap would be.
Okay. Thank you for stepping.
Like I'm that dude, no cap, or I'm that dude for real.
Thank you for stepping into old white guy corner with me and clearing that up.
Hey, we're here to help.
That's it.
So this turns into a thing on social media for the rest of the night because there ends up being so many other layers to this.
Yeah, didn't like Cat's agent get involved and say that like Joel actually deleted it himself instead of Cat blocking it or something? Did I read that right?
Well, I didn't see the stuff with the agents. I just saw Cat posting all these pictures of him having Embiid in a headlock and him posting Embiid crying
yeah.
after the Kawhi 4 bounce shot. And okay, I'm gonna go back to something I said after the four bounce shot, and it's quoting Bomani Jones, who made this point about the Embiid crying. And it's just another example of why, hey, crying in sports, fine. Especially you're a professional athlete, you dedicate your whole life to a sport, you're grinding so hard to try to achieve your goals at the highest levels in the world.
A lot of emotion.
If you lose, cool. I see you getting emotional. I see all that energy pouring out of you and you crying. I can understand that. But that guy, Joel Embiid, he can't cry. And this is another reason why. Because when you continue to do the Joel Embiid trolling stuff, the ace card is going to continue to come out in terms of, hey, here's a picture of you crying on the court for everyone to see. And then it just reminds you of everything else, like him crying in his girl's arms, who's like half his size at the end of that game. And it's just like a complete gong show of events. But then it turns, and I want to say this. I want to get your opinion on this, Webby. Because it turned a little, it went even further. Because then we get Joel Embiid clapping back. And Joel Embiid seems to be he references Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
And then I'm tiptoeing around this, not because, one, I said on the last pod, hey, not trying to be the Tekashi podcast.
Right.
But he starts referencing, he says at the end of another post, because he commented on Towns' post, right? That's what you were referring to in terms of who deleted it or who's hiding it or whatever. But Embiid says, imagine talking after a 20-point loss. You hate to see it. Go ahead using that pick of me caring about losing in the second round of the playoffs.
Which you
all
ain't
in
never
caps.
been to.
But bragging about being in the second round of the playoffs is lame. But I get his point. I understand his point. Oh, wait, you never been there. You don't know what that's like. No cap, boy. Finally won 3 games, and he's talking. And I know you ain't talking. You've been pussy your whole life. That's why you were treated like a bitch by you-know-who. And I ain't going to put your business out, but I got the facts about you. Sorry. I ain't going to put your business out, but I got the facts about you. Don't get it twisted. I own you. The assumption in the Twitter sphere.
How can you hate this guy?
Here's the thing. The assumption in the Twitter sphere, on the interwebs, in the deep, dark corners of the interwebs, alluding to people talking about Kat's ex-girlfriend and Jimmy Butler, maybe having some relations with Kat's ex-girlfriend, and maybe that's what Embiid's talking about. And if you want to know more about it, you can definitely get your Twitter fingers going and find the story for yourself. You might get caught up like I did on the Instagram model's Instagram page as well. But hey,
it's a good time spent.
It's a good time spent over your lunch break.
All right.
I'll say that much. But hey, however you choose your time.
Pass me that link. You got to throw me that link.
Link in bio. No, I'm joking. But anyways, is this stuff off limits, or is it too personal and like off limits, or are you okay with all of this?
I mean, there's a lot of I mean, he keeps it pretty vague here. Now we do have internet sleuths like This Is Life in 2019, 2020, where we've got people who are going to pore over this and do their detective work and find out, what he's talking about and what the rumors are, and then put that all on Front Street. But in terms of what Embiid said, I think it's vague and coded enough that I think you're right. I think that going after the mom is way more off limits than what he said in this post.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the J line. Because you know who, did you know what? Well, you know who. Let's keep that between me and you. That's what it kind of reminded me of, right? But I feel like that reference is probably a little too old for Embiid.
Right.
Right? Because I think like that's what I thought of right away. And hey, hopefully people listening to the pod know what I'm talking about. The Nas and Jay stuff, which also was referencing a Philly native, Allen Iverson, if I'm not mistaken. No,
that is correct.
Right? I'm pretty sure that's what that was. That's crazy. But anyways, to me, here's the thing. And I've gone on these rants before on this podcast about this generational thing. And I'm just going to quote the wise words of Steven Jackson, respect it or check it, right? Keep that same energy because there's a lot of personal shots being taken there. And that's beyond basketball. You want to tussle in basketball and talk trash about losing in the playoffs and all that fun stuff, cool. But the personal attacks, I don't know, man. There's some things where I might have to see you and we might have to have a serious conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like there's got to be a line. There's got to be a line where you have to anticipate that if you cross that line, you might get punched in the face. And that's what I feel like we're lacking in 2019, where I can just go on social media and just talk whatever reckless talk. And that's that. That's the one thing that I thought was really weird about this story.
But my whole thing about this is like, yeah, Embiid is a habitual line stepper, but it doesn't seem like he's one to back down. It's not one I don't know if he's gone out there because he said some pretty wild shit about other people, and he's never really backed down about it. You know,
that's
like
true.
If anything, he raises to the level. I mean, like he basically ruined Andre Drummond last year after Andre Drummond like had the nerve to open his mouth, and like I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next game between the Sixers and the T-Wolves, which I think is in a couple of weeks or something, or maybe in a month or two. But that's going to be must-see TV.
Yeah, I mean, whenever that rematch happens, that's incredible. Just of note, to get the like newsy side of this, I guess should mention the fact that they both got suspended for 2 games, which seems a little light for me. But
the other one is Simmons. Simmons got no games and no fines because that's how good the triangle choke was. That's how good the form was. They said he was a peacemaker. I love it.
Get out of here. A peacemaker. So ridiculous. I do think, though, that there's parts of the NBA office that's like, we like the fact that we were trending over Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think and that's why it's only 2 games. Because there's a line, for sure, in terms of the personal attacks and all that. And I'm sure they probably had a word with Embiid and Towns about, like, keeping the personal stuff out of it. But I feel like social media is one of the reasons why basketball is super popular right now. And so there's part of the NBA, there's part of Adam Silver that likes this. No?
100%. Like you say, up against Game 7 of a World Series. And people are talking about this fight. A fight, which I will remind you as well, featured no punches thrown. That's another reason that these guys only got 2 games, I think. It was
NBA action, man.
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
Way more vicious online than it was on the court, for sure.
Agreed. Good stuff, as always, but let people listening to this pod, let me know what you think. Are you Team Cat or Team Embiid? Let us know in the comments for sure, because that was hilarious. Either way.
Team Kitty Cat, if you're Team KARL-ANTHONY. Kitty Cat, because he just meowed out there.